ambulances and fire engines that had been standing by began moving towards Harveys immediately. Now I was told, and I haven't been able to confirm this, but I was told there were no injuries, no one was in the hotel. So that is one very fortunate thing about today's incident.
You were about a quarter of a mile from it, is what it looks like there, Ginger.
Yes, we were kept about a quarter of a mile. The police, the Nevada Highway Patrol, the California Highway Patrol was keeping everybody away from the site. We were pushed back, we were pushed back, we were pushed back, we were pushed back. And you know how newsmen are, we were getting angry. And then the explosion came, and I was very happy that I was at that distance.
As you know, Ginger, David Fowler is still there, and he has a report now by phone, and we can all talk to him. David, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Rita. And I can give you a little background on what happened in the hotel. What they did was they surrounded the bomb with sandbags, a high stack of sandbags, and then apparently, as we understand it, they used some sort of robotic device, some sort of a robot to detonate it. The blast went up, and we've been able to look at the hotel. I'm across the street now in Caesars, and I can see across into Harvey's. The blast peeled back the balcony on the second and third floor, and there's also some tin roofing on a part of the hotel that extends out on the second floor, and that is peeled back much like you would with an old-fashioned can over, just kind of turned back. Windows all the way up to the 8th or 9th floor also blown out, although it doesn't appear that the damage was extensive many floors above the actual detonation. But as I mentioned, since they put the sandbags around the device, then detonated it, this would tend to force the explosion up. And that's probably why those upper windows are broken, although not a lot of them. The area around the hotel is still surrounded, although they have relaxed the perimeter somewhat, and they have opened up part of Harris. The back part, front part is still closed because it faces on Harvey's. They have been replacing the windows in Harris already, so they're virtually ready to go back into business. Caesars is also reopened at this time. They're not sure. This is kind of interesting. They think they may have a gas leak in the building right now, hence they are keeping it cordoned off. And earlier there was some speculation or some concern that there might be some other type of device, but that is not confirmed, and it doesn't appear from the fact that they've let us in a little more closely that might be the case. So right now the area is cordoned off. The damage is quite severe to the second and third floors, at least on the exterior, and I would imagine that the blast has done extensive damage to the inside of the building. Rita?
Yes. Curious as to what advice people up there are giving to tourists who may be wanting to come into the area. After all, we are going into... In fact, we just saw a shot of it blowing again, David, and it was spectacular.
Well, you know...
Any advice now for people who may want to come up here this weekend?
Well, I think everything's going to be all right this weekend as best we can tell. What's kind of interesting is that the T-shirt makers are already at work. There's one gentleman who has one over here that says, "Bang." Other T-shirt makers are saying, "I survived the bomb. I bombed at Tahoe." All of this within the last 24 hours. So this kind of gives you some idea of the mentality here today. As Ginger pointed out, people seem almost euphoric by the thing. We took one last spin just before they detonated it. We spun over the area in Helicopter 4 when they had evacuated, and we could see this huge ring of people in this quarter-mile perimeter. It was just an incredible sight because everybody was just excited and waiting to get in there to take a look. And we were not far from there when it blew, and people seemed delighted by the whole thing. It was quite incredible.
David, we were also told that there was an attempt to pay off the ransom, that $3 million, but that for some reason they couldn't find it or the instructions weren't clear. What can you tell us about that?
We're just piecing that together from the FBI, and this is kind of what we have at this point. Apparently, they were supposed to make a helicopter drop of the money last night somewhere here on the shores of Lake Tahoe. Apparently, the moon was too bright. The idea was that the person who was going to take the money was supposed to follow the big beacon of the helicopter, and on some sort of prearranged signal, then the money would be dropped from the chopper. Apparently, the person who was doing the extorting figured that it was too bright. The moon was too bright, and he could be spotted, so he never showed up. He has subsequently, I understand, been in contact with the FBI and told them just that.
Okay, David Fowler, thank you very much, David, for that live report, and also Ginger Rutland. Also, our thanks to Stan Drury, your cameraman, who shot some of that stuff.
He did a marvelous job. He and Paul Hilton was a sound man.
Okay.
Commend them.
Thank you very much. Obviously, we find out more details, folks, throughout this newscast. We'll certainly bring it to you immediately.